Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Sean from Canadian Brew Channel, and I got Sean here.
Hello.
Remember him from last time?
Yes, a few times.
He's the non-phonetically Sean.
Right. The scene.
The scene.
Yeah.
So today we have a taste testing or a review of a beer that I just brewed. It's a little different. Naughty Neighbor, if you've watched some of my videos, is one of my favorite beers, which is an American pale ale. Has like a really grapefruit nose to it. And I'm just gonna read out how I brewed this, and then we're gonna dive into the beers.
All right.
Okay. So batch size I did this time was a 10 gallon. I have a 15 gallon pot, but I can force 10 gallons out of it. The ABV says it was a 5.9, which I think it was because I started off, where was my gravity? Where is it? 1046 was pre-boil. It was 1052, I think, was post-boil, but it ended up 1010. So it was around over 5.5%. I used 12 pounds of two-row, 6 pounds of Maris Otter, 1 pound of flake wheat, 1 pound of Carahel, and 0.2 pounds of Crystal 90. I only used Crystal 90 because I didn't have any Crystal 40 that gave it a little bit of a darkness that I was looking for. I did 2 ounces of Centenial at 45-minute boil, 2 ounces of Casade at flame out, and it actually wasn't even a flame out. I did it as a hop stand around 170 degrees for about 10 minutes, and 6 ounces of Citra in the carboy, or sorry, not the carboy, in the keg. I actually kegged this, and I let it sit in the keg for about 2 days before I taste tested it, and that's given us what we have today. It's a little hazy because I ran out of Warfluck tablets, and the mash steps, I did it at 147 degrees, and I did it because I wanted a crisper beer. If I did it over 150, you know that it would have more of a body to it, but because I used Maris Otter, which is known to have a bready flavor to it, I did it a little crisper. This was kind of a concoction, that's why I called it the Citra APA 2.0. So here we are, we got the beers in front of us, Sean. Mm-hmm. And on first look, you can see how hazy that is. Yeah. You can't see much through that at all.
It's like the weather we've had.
Yeah, it's kind of a swamp water look to it, right? It's
a lot of snow.
Yeah, it's got okay head retention to it. I poured mine a little less than yours did, but it holds the head pretty good. Mm-hmm. And who likes head? Everybody likes head. So
yeah.
You take a smell to it, and you're going to find it's like a tropical kind of a fruity smell. Mm-hmm. And that comes from the Citra, which gives like a melon kind of a smell, a little fruity smell. The beer that I usually try to do, which is by Naughty Neighbor, has more of a grapefruit smell. That would come if I did Cascade. But I put that in what's called a hop stand, so I wanted the flavor of the Cascade to come out in the beer. Mm-hmm. But that smell you get is from the actual hops that are sitting in the keg right now as I pour one off. Mm-hmm. And the oil from the hops come into that, and they come in as an aroma.
Yeah, you can definitely smell it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. So it's not too bitter.
No.
And there's that flavor. It's still kind of fruity, tropical flavor, mm-hmm. but it's not sweet.
No. It doesn't linger. Like it kind of goes out the palate.
Yeah, it holds on a little bit and it passes.
Yeah.
Now I've been eating some chips, but
right. Yeah.
When I've had this beer, you haven't had it before. There's a bready flavor behind this because of the Maris Otter. I don't know if you'll be able to pick it up, but it's like Maris Otter is a British malt, and
you call it bready,
like a bready cracker kind of a flavor. When you drink it. It's not so crisp that it just disappears.
Right,
There's a little bit of a mouthfeel there.
Yeah.
And like I said, we ate some chips, so it's harder to taste it. But if you taste this without eating anything before, there is this bready thing to it. And
it's not a sharp taste. It's kind of I don't want to call it dull, but it's a softer taste.
Yeah, and it's a little different. I don't know if I'd make this again with all of Maris Otter in there, because that's more of a British style beer to be more body. And because I did the beer on a lower temperature for the mash, that's supposed to give more of a crisp flavor.
Okay.
Excuse me. And because it's an APA, or you could call it a pale ale with the hops in there, some brewers would say don't use something that's like a Maris Otter. Use a two-row or a pale ale type of, or like a Pilsner, which is it's a malt that is more clean and crisp. And they said that if you use like something that's a Maris Otter that has more flavor in the malt, it's going to fight with the hops. And I think it might kind of do that there, and it gives it that mouthfeel that kind of floats around. And it's
a more wholesome or fulsome taste. It's not as crisp.
No, it's not. And my wife had it, and she was kind of like, "That's different," but she drank it. Yeah, it's. I don't think I'd make it again, because it's. I like it, but I prefer to have either a strong, like a stout or porter, that you're actually eating like a meal, or have something that's crisp and clean and leaves your palate quicker. But I think it's. I don't think I use the Maris Otter again. I mean, I did get what I was looking for in the nose. It's like a mango or tropical pineapple. If you swish around your mouth and swab, you're going to taste more tropical too, because I let the hops sit for a while in the beer. So it's like you said, you don't get that crisp, clean taste. It holds on your tongue a bit.
But it doesn't linger too long. It's got, I guess, what I would call body. It's got a body to the taste.
Take some in your mouth, swig it around, hold onto your tongue, and then swallow it and see what you get out of that. Like really moving around your mouth.
Yeah, I get that kind of citrusy taste. Yep.
It comes out.
Yeah.
So that citrus part is the Cascade that I let sit in the beer. Well, in the not in the beer. It wasn't beer yet. In the wort. It's called the hop stand. Okay. So it was around 170, 180 degrees. I let the hops sit in there. So I'm going to go into this for someone who's trying to learn about brewing. You hear about hop stands. You hear about whirlpooling. You hear about flame out. When you're making a beer, there's when you first start boiling the beer, any of the hops you throw in at the beginning are going to give you a very bitter flavor, and depending on what the alpha acid is of the actual hop, is more bitterness you're going to get out of that. So you could take any hop and throw it in at the beginning of the boil for like 60 minutes. It almost doesn't matter what hop it is. It's just going to be bitterness.
Really?
You're not going to taste the flavors or the aromas. It's going to kill all of that. You're going to get the bitterness out of it. So it's a waste of if you got a hop that is known for a lot of citrus smell and aromas and flavors, to throw it in at the beginning of the boil. So there's hops that are really good at just bittering. So you throw them at the beginning. And this one here, if I take a look, it was 45 minutes that I did Centenial, okay? And it talks about the AA's alpha acids. 10.5. So that's not a high alpha acids. It's getting up there.
So you put the hops in at 45 minutes?
So if it's a total hour boil, a total hour, the first 15 minutes I put nothing. And the last 45 minutes I put in 2 ounces of Centennial. This is 10 gallons, by the way. And then I called it flame out on here, but I couldn't click that on there to say anything else. I turned the flame off, let it sit there until it was about 185 degrees, and then I threw in 2 ounces of, was it 2 ounces? Yep, 2 ounces of Cascade. And I let it sit there until it dropped to 170 degrees, which took about 25 minutes. And the reason they say to do that is if it's above about 185, the aroma oils they'll just go away. They're gone. They're in the air. But if it's below that temperature, they actually stay in the wort, and you're going to taste them. So I sat there, let that do that for about 20 minutes, and then I cooled it down and I fermented it, and then I threw in the Citra when it's cold in my fridge, and now you get the aroma. So you got bitterness, flavor. Well, there's no such thing as flavor, but it's bitterness, flavor, and aroma. Flavor is made by your brain. it takes everything in and says that's a
Right.
flavor, right? So that's your interpretation by your brain. So that's how I came up with this, and I think it turned okay. But
Yeah. So when you say, and then you got to the fermentation, so that seems to be like a completely separate process from what you did before. Is that correct? So you're putting in hops and ingredients.
Yeah.
Fermentation
Yep.
is like a specific point in the brewing process.
yeah, that's right when you put the yeast. So once the yeast is in there and it does its thing,
Yeah.
then you can either decide if you're going to hop even more, which would be a dry hop, right? So that's what we did here. I've done from boiling some hops, hop stand, and then a dry hop.
Okay.
And that gives you the beer that we have here. And there's going to be another video we're going to do very soon, and it's going to be a layman asks questions
Perfect.
to a home brewer.
That's why Sean has me here.
Not to drink my beer.
No, just to ask layman questions.
All right, so I think we gangled on a little bit. We got
Okay.
over 11 minutes there, Sean.
All right.
I think it was okay. I was not.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, my wife will drink it, and I'll
Yeah,
drink it. Sean,
yeah.
I'm sure if you're over, you're going to drink it.
I'll drink it, sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this is Sean, and Sean signing off for Canadian Brew Channel. Please subscribe, click the little bell, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.